because let's just isolate, again, let's isolate the variable. What's the message? The message is, first of all, she wasn't talking to women in general. Kim said business women. Business women. Business women need to get off their ass and work. And what I think she said today, and I think when you talk to business women today, David, what you'll hear is many of us have the same frustration, which is that a lot of, especially younger women in business, think that success should happen overnight. And they think that, you throw up an Instagram account, you buy a few followers, you put up some booty pics, and you too should be a gazillionaire.
It doesn't work
and
that way.
Kim is saying it just doesn't work that way. And for those that their critique is, oh, well, you're famous off a sex tape. I know a lot of hoes with sex tapes. They don't have billion-dollar fortunes, so Kim must be doing something very right that many other people are not. That's number one. Number two, Kim's message is not different than the messages we've heard for years from Oprah Winfrey, who literally, I was just watching something and sent it to my girlfriend on Instagram where Oprah was talking about her greatest frustration with young people today. Oh, she was in conversation with the Reverend T.D. Jakes. Okay. And he said, what is your biggest frustration of young people today? And she says, and I had this conversation with my girls, meaning her girls from her South African school. You got to work. You got to work. Just because you came out of, Spelman College or Harvard University, who gives a fuck? You still got to take your ass and work for it, whatever that means. And work doesn't mean labor. See, I think this is what people are missing about Kim's point, David. She's not saying, this is work. Yeah. What we're doing right now, you are working.
I work 24 hours a day, basically, if left to my own devices.
Right.
I mean, if you don't check on me, there's nothing social at 6 p.m., 7, I will just go straight through.
And I think a lot of people took Kim's comment as this literal equivalent of labor, meaning you go punch a clock and you punch in at 6 o'clock in the morning and you punch out at 7 p.m. and you pay 40% to the government. And that's what work is conditioned to feel like in our society. And people felt that Kim was suggesting for some crazy reason that women are, I guess, sitting at home like welfare queen era women, not, quote, working. Kim's saying work smart. Not necessarily work more labor hours, work smarter, work harder. And if Beyonce said the same thing, I don't think Beyonce has said the same thing. I don't think people get upset at all. I think that's where the whole everybody has the same 24 hours a day that Beyonce has comes from, which is its own critique of why isn't every woman a billionaire like Beyonce?
Right.
But nobody got mad at that. So I think the hypocrisy around Kim and the response to her is rooted in an envy, really, of the way that Kim Kardashian, Beyonce, Oprah, you, maybe even me, get to work because we have designed it this way. And I'll say this to end with, David. I do what I do the way I do it because just like you, I lived a law firm life. We did the billable hour thing. We know what that's like, supposedly trying to bill 90, 100 hours a week to maybe, I don't know about you, but I'll tell my salary, maybe take home after the government gets its share and the partners eat all the real fucking money. Maybe I get 60 grand at the end of that. And that's the trajectory for the next 8 years.
And then one day maybe you could be a partner in this
and then give them
firm.
$2 more million to buy into partners. Come on,
Yeah.
Let's really break this shit down. I decided no bueno, no thank you. And I started all the way over after all that shit that we all went through, law school, bar exam and all that, just like you did. And I said, I'm going to lead into the most natural gift I have, which for me is talking, getting people to listen and spreading education through an engaging way. And I'm going to make a whole fucking career out of it. And I didn't know how. And it was talk radio. And then it was news. And then it was a book. And then it was this and this. And now it's reality TV along with all the other things that I do. And every fucking day I'm working and I have a lot of fun doing it.
Same here.
Yeah.
We started over. We made our own way. And yeah. And
now,
it is all related. I use my law degree every day.
Every day
in this job.
You just interrogated the hell out of me. You put me on.
Sorry.
You just cross-examined me, David. No, I'm just kidding. No,
it's
but
only
fun.
because I know you can handle it.
I know, and it's fun. I love the sparring too.
You do,
and I think that's a little thing that's misunderstood about people like us too. Is we don't take it negative. We don't get offended. We kind of enjoy the sport of it.
Yeah, and there are people that don't always answer my questions,
and that's okay. But that doesn't mean you should stop asking.
No, sometimes you have to pivot on in the middle of an interview, but that's what we do also as lawyers.
Exactly, a good one. But that's to me the bottom line of the Kim of it all. I think people really are upset because they see Kim living this great, fabulous, fun, glamorous life, which I don't know why she's being penalized for that. She's also dealing with a fucking crazy ex-husband. But anyway, And there's jealousy because like people have bought into this notion of work has to look labor intensive. It's got to be miserable. It's got to be grunt work. That's a bygone era. And if I respectfully say to all women listening to this podcast, David, if you are thinking that your hours of labor are ever going to convert to substantial wealth and stability, you are mistaken. And I wish for your sake that you look deeper into the words of work and expand on what that means via investment, via entrepreneurship, and just via sustainable mailbox money, as Shepard would say.
Yeah, I think you need to. Yeah. Listen, it's never going to translate if you're working for someone else.
It's just
and
not.
You're not happy
it's
with what you're doing.
It's just not. And I think that again, she was not talking about the hardworking women of America that are getting up to, feed kids and all this stuff and have to because they don't have other
jealousy.
options.
I think it's the jealousy.
Yeah.
Because she has so much money.
But she didn't always. I remember people, this was the other point I was going to make. People are like, oh, she was born so rich. She was not. She was born like a lot of Americans.
Because a lot of celebrities came out and said that. They're like, you're born really. Right. She was born like.
She was born upper middle class at best. Robert Kardashian was a fucking criminal defense lawyer. Okay. Right. He was paying taxes and paying bills like everybody else, which is why Chris felt the need to put these bitches to work. Okay. And it's also the reason that Kim used to be the assistant to Brandy Norwood. She used to be the assistant to Paris. She has worked. So I'm not saying she's worked harder than any woman in America, but she has worked. So she was not born into such wealth. It's not like she's a Rothschild or something. She was not born into such wealth in which she could bypass work.
Yeah. And she works now. I mean, like she works.
And she works
like a dog.
And yeah, I believe she does work extremely hard. And if you can't understand it, then she probably just wasn't talking to you. I'll end with that.
I didn't understand all the criticism personally, but that was just me.
That was just because we were too busy working.
Yes. Where can everyone find you? And Kim is dealing with a lot with it, Kanye.
Exactly.
Now, and that's but I'm living for Kim and Pete, FYI.
I just don't buy it.
You don't?
Nope. Not for
You think it's a media ploy?
Of course.
But didn't we think that Ben and Jen were a media ploy for a minute?
Don't speak for yourself. I still do.
You do. Still.
I don't believe in any scenario, David, that somebody goes from head over heels in love with, in Jen's case, A-Rod, which I also never believed, by the way. I thought that was a completely ecstatic relationship. Planning a wedding, all this shit, and in 3 weeks flat, it's Bennifer again. I don't believe it.
All this time later, really.
No, not to say they didn't have a real thing in 1998.
Now I'm like, I believe that more than Kim and Pete. I don't think Kim and Pete are gonna last. I mean, he has these, he has all these tattoos now. Did you see this? She just told Ellen he has like 5 tattoos. One of them says, "My girl's a lawyer."
I think, which is not even true at this point, but anyway.
Right, that's not true. And like, this is a very where does all that fit? Like, that's a complicated tattoo.
I actually think that relationship is part of the work she's referring to. I think that her and the Jennifer Lopez's of the world, and I could probably name some other women if we have more time, when they find themselves out of a relationship, first of all, their relationships are imperative to their content. Can we agree on that? They're imperative.
Yeah, and if you want to create a different narrative, like with Jennifer, it was like, poor her.
Yeah, brokenhearted, whoop-de-whoop. No,
she's like, let me give you something else to talk about.
That's not a compelling narrative, right? So now it's, Cinderella story 2.0, dreams come true, nostalgic love, takes us all back to the 90s. When, Ben looked attractive. It's all work. And I think this is what I think happened. I think Jim was like, do-do-do-do-do. Hey, Ben, what's up? What are you up to? Nothing. Probably just got out of rehab. Okay, cool. You want to make some money? You want to get this bag together? I sure do. And I think they had dinner that night.
See, I'm so cynical with housewives. You're cynical with these relationships.